Powered by Riverside FM.
Power rankings. Power. It was funny because we were joking about in the last one getting Michael Buffer, the let's get ready to rumble guy to do it. But then we were worried that let's get ready to rumble might be like a trademark.
Oh yeah,
phrase.
no, the lawyers are getting ready right now.
Yeah, they're getting ready to rumble, I think. With us.
I'm getting sued for last episode, you're getting sued for this one.
Yes, that's very true. Folks, we're back once again to do a mini-series power rankings where as the name suggests, we're going to, go through the games and we're going to give our scores. Well, I guess, of all time, where do they all kind of sit? Now, Snake, I got two little gimmicks for this one, which you might appreciate.
Oh. I like
One
gimmicks.
of them is I have done a quiz on the suggestion of listener VZ. He said, why didn't you do a quiz for the power rankings? And I thought, good idea. So when we have done the power rankings, we'll go through a future imperfect quiz, which I think you might enjoy.
A future imperfect quiz.
A future imperfect quiz, yeah. Second gimmick, you're about to receive a message through Discord, which hopefully
be activated.
Yeah, which will hopefully be, if I've done this correctly, will be spoiled. I'm going to call my shots on what I think the predicted outcome will be of these. So,
should I open it now or later?
No. Don't.
All right, I see the spoiler, but I will not touch it.
We're going to check that at the end. We're going to see how accurate I was. This is me. This is my David Copperfield trick of, was I right in my predicted outcomes? Because
I think there's one big divergence point, and that's it. But
potentially,
there's genuinely one point of contention I can imagine, but we will find out.
We will find out. But
I'll know if I hear a big "oh" as we get to the silver ranking.
Yeah, you'll hear like a big bit of like gas being released. Now, I suppose the easiest way to do this is we'll just go in game order, and probably the easiest thing to do is just let's put Time Splitters in third place, and then we'll move that up and down as need be. But have you got any? I don't know. Have you got any immediate thoughts on Time Splitters that you want to say?
Yeah, that's it's not third place.
No, for me it's also not third place. It is for its time and the fact that it was made in 10 months is still quite impressive, but definitely was a example of like where things could improve. Because this is the end of the series now, so I guess we can talk more about these games as kind of how they fed into each other. That being said, unlike the Raven series, which we kind of recorded out of order, we did record all these episodes chronologically.
Yep.
That was the thing that you pushed for, was following the games one after another. So we did get to see them evolve game by game. And while I would say that's maybe the case for the first 4 games we covered, that kind of very quickly went off.
It falls apart right there in Haze and Homefront: The Revolution.
Homefront: The Revolution, especially because Haze came out in 2008, and Homefront came out 2016. So there was a big 8-year gap between both games. Granted, we didn't cover the Crisis multiplayers. We also didn't cover Warface, a multiplayer game that they made for Crytek and Microsoft. Will we cover those games? If you really want us to, maybe we could, but you'll have to let us know.
And throw money at James. That's that helps.
That's the trick. Yeah, if I can have more money in my bank account, means more time that I can spend on stuff like bullet time and whatever else. But other than that, getting leaving as a comment or whatever, you can let us know. Stuff's together. I don't know if Warface is even available to play though.
No, I think Warface is still alive. That one is a somehow survivor.
Interesting.
I
Well,
could well be wrong, but I think it is.
Do you reckon that might be like a secret? That's the secret Time Splitters 4 is Warface.
I have severe doubts.
I also have severe doubts about that. Now, Time Splitters 2, let's just put that immediately above Time Splitters 1.
Well, I mean, there's a obvious thing here, which is you move that a few pixels upwards next to the fucking gold right there. That's
Should we just immediately put that in first place?
that's fucking first place. There's no
yeah,
argument.
I haven't
here.
really got anything to argue against. As I said on the episodes, and will continue to say, this was maybe my favorite game discovered and played for the first time.
We are
Not just for this mini-series, but for bullet time.
we are maybe spitting in the face of the guest for Time Splitters Future Perfect, but that's us. We are Time Splitters 2 guys. Like, that's who we are.
And I had the misfortune, not really. Future Perfect is still a really good game, but
It is.
Future Perfect is a game that I have played, and especially doing research into it again, and how EA stuck their fingers in the honeypot so much of it's got to be like this. You guys suck. It's not going to be as good as GoldenEye Rogue Agent. They didn't promote the game, all that sort of stuff. Future Perfect definitely punches above its weight really well in regards to how much stuff it balances, but much like Crash Bandicoot 2, Time Splitters 2 is just the perfect mix of they learned everything from the first one that needed to be. They kept what worked, they fixed up everything else, and they didn't overdo it. Whereas with the third one, it felt a bit like even if EA wasn't involved, they still maybe would have like over-egged it a little bit, I think.
Could well have happened, but no, it's just Time Splitters 2 is just it's a joy to play. It's a joy to unlock stuff. The gunplay is fun. It's fast. It's thrilling, exciting. It's stuffed to the nines with stuff, and it's all fun, and it's fun to get that. And it's fun. Like, there's the thing, though. We've kind of talked about it on the episode. It could be a thing of time and place. It could be a gameplay thing. Time Splitters 2 suits me more. If Time Splitters Future Perfect takes that spot for you, I'm not even going to argue for a second, but I think for the two of us, it is just Time Splitters 2 is the one we enjoy more.
Yep.
Like, I genuinely think, depending on who you are, those could share the top place, but we are in an unfair world of binary, you win or you lose, and
There's
Time Splitters
similar
Future
enough.
Perfect doesn't quite win it.
There's similar enough games that I think that if you like one over the other, that's absolutely fine. It is just, again, like Crash Bandicoot 2 and Crash Bandicoot Warped, one has a lot more going for it in regards to there's more gimmicks, there's more gameplay opportunities, it's a flashy presentation. 2, on the other hand, though, is just very to the core and very polished, and
I also like the story more. I mean,
Yeah,
not
I
the
do
story,
too.
but I like the way the story plays out more. I like that you are jumping between these disparate genres and places.
absolutely.
Whereas Future Perfect to me felt more fun with it's Cortez's story and all these unique places are backdrops. Whereas Time Splitters 2 felt like I'm engaging in this little play set, this little world.
Yeah, and like I didn't mind, say, because even though it's Cortez, they do at least give him a time-appropriate partner, and some of them are returning characters, and it's nice just to have, like, you get to get an idea of their personalities based on how they bounce off Cortez. But, I don't know, just the comedy style of 2 I prefer more in that sometimes it's not even funny. Like, it's got slapstick elements, but, you know, sometimes they lean in on the
It's
action
very
elements.
goofy and weird, and I don't know, it has this very abstract British comedy to it that it's very understated and very sometimes it isn't even funny, but you're amused. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's again, like some of it's very good visual comedy, some of it's very like slapsticky comedy, but then sometimes, you know, they'll aim for hot. Like I guess the tone is almost sort of like, well, it was very rareware. Like even when they did horror and when they did, you know, like thrillers or action, it was still kind of to an elevated tongue-in-cheek way. Like nothing is ever grim in Time Splitters. Either 2 or 3, but 3 leans a bit too much on, again, that's where EA comes in and says, oh, well, Cortez should be, you know, he should be Vin Diesel, but cracking jokes. And it's okay. I don't mind. Again, the thing, we're not talking about, I mean, we'll get to, I guess we're talking about 3 now, but we haven't put where it is. But
We've spent most of Time Splitters 2 explaining why it's trying to basically cushion people who like 3 more.
no. So Second Sight, second place.
Yeah,
Right
bang,
behind
bang,
bang.
fucking.
Time Splitters Blue. Yeah, Second Sight is again. Time Splitters 1, 2, and 3. You understand the ramp. It's Crash Bandicoot. 1, they're trying to figure it out, and they only have 10 mobs. 2 is perfect. They have nailed it. They polished everything up to a mirror sheen. And yeah, just the idea of every level is its own set piece from its own little video game or whatever. Perfect. And very much feeds into the multiplayer, which is also very... You could be in an Aztec level with robots, with these guns, with this mode, and it just works. Second Sight, though, is like... If Time
An
Splitters 2 is like...
absurdly good stealth puzzler.
Absolutely. Like, Time Splitters 2 is like the best game they made, but Second Sight is just... proves that they were a awesome developer, because it is... I mean, I said on the episode, it's the best GameCube Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
Like, in regards to... It has elements from MGS2, but kind of polished up to what they wanted to do. The story is genuinely
It's very
really
It's
good.
gripping and well told and well acted.
Yeah.
The twist still works. I'd still argue it's one of the best twists in like a game story.
Yeah.
Even if it's nothing really to do with games, not that that fucking matters. It's just a fucking well done story. It's just great.
Yeah, and like it's funny because we were something like that, sort of like the pantomime-ish look at the characters, but again, the thing I kind of knocked on was that no, their art style is quite flexible. Like it works for Time Splitters, where it's kind of happy, slappy, sort of, physical comedy. But it also kind of has that French comic book look to it, where the proportions are exaggerated and the faces especially.
Yeah, like the evil character gets across his evilness with a look. John looks like an underdog just because he looks so thin and
Emaciated.
so weak.
Yeah,
emaciated. And it's like, it's the art style you think, oh, this can only work for comedy, but no, it's actually very apropos for drama and like characters, because it tells you so much with just how they look, and it gets over any graphical limitations with very good art style.
Absolutely. And not to spoil the episode for people who haven't listened to it, but the twist in that game, like, it is I guess what I'll say is that it is interesting that they're a developer who really kind of nailed time travel, because their take on a time travel story in Second Sight is something I've never really seen before, and it is so well executed. Like, that's a reason to try the game. But it's not even like one of those games where you go, well, you need to stick with it because the story's interesting. No, the little gameplay scenarios are very good in a GameCube era sort of way of like a little adventure game where every segment in its own little scenario, and
so many little Easter eggs.
Oh yeah.
And like the character drama and stuff before the reveal is genuinely quite gripping. It's like the reveal works because by that point you really do care about what's going on, and then it fucking pulls the rug out from under you, and it's like, oh, this goes even deeper than we thought, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Good game.
It makes it so tragic that Hayes and Homefront can't tell a good story, because Second Sight is like, oh, they had a good story in them. Maybe just that one.
It is fun, and it's like, because Time Splitters 3 does have a story, but it is just...
I mean, it's fine. It's a good comedy, but it's like, it's not Second Sight where it's like, oh, they can do this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And again, like, it's always funny because I keep saying, oh, well, they're extra airware, and the way that the series I've kind of imagined it is almost... It does feel like kind of an extended future of where Rare were trying to, like, maybe figure out their footing on the Xbox, and we only got, like, Grabbed by the Ghoulies and the Conquer remaster and stuff like that up until the 360. Like, these guys had like a run of games where, oh, if they let us keep making games like GoldenEye, this is probably what we would have come up with. And I think it is just such a good sign of, no, there is like, they built like genuine talent at this business that is carried over into almost all of these games up until a point. Speaking of, I'm going to move Time Splitters to 4th place.
Yeah. Because
Time Splitters 3.
Yeah, that's where Future Perfect goes.
Yeah, I want to put it in 3rd place as well.
I'm feeling like this spoiler was dead on, to be quite honest with you. I haven't
looked
did
at
you
read
yet.
the spoiler?
No, I've not looked at it yet, but I've got a feeling like I know where it's going. I feel like we've aligned. That was the wobble in my mind was basically to do with Future Perfect, and that hasn't happened.
So, I do really like Future Perfect, and Charlie's episode of it is just such an electric thing of that is his favorite game of all time, and he did make a really good case for like why that is. And again, like the thing that the cog in my brain turning of going, oh, like, yeah, this is them showing off every single trick they got, not just what they honed in Time Splitters 2, but the fact that, yeah, we can do gravity guns, yeah, we can do vehicle sections, yeah, we can have AI partners and stuff like that. They were just blasting on all cylinders, basically showing off that, no, we are like, we're not just the Time Splitters, like, we are a premier developer, like, on par with Bungie or Valve.
Yeah, they can do all the notes, and like they can do it in a fucking time travel setting where it's like, oh, we can have old World War One cars. Oh, we can have fucking futuristic cars. Like, they weren't great, but it's like you get another fucking round in there, and it's like, what could these people have done if only they were allowed to keep going? If only the universe didn't fucking destroy them.
I'm rereading the EA stuff. I mean, it sounded like they were given the money and the budget to do what they wanted, but it also, but like, the fact that it wasn't advertised, well, it wasn't as advertised as well as it could be. And again, it's not to say that, because every publisher all the way along was like, what is Time Splitters? How do you sell Time Splitters? And it could have been an easy thing of like, because it's funny, like I did play Future Perfect when I was a kid, but it was because I bought a lot of British gaming magazines. And the thing that maybe we haven't quite communicated so much to the audience, which I don't know how big of it. Well, I guess, yeah, like Charlie liked it and Hammers like loved, the Time Splitters games, but I don't know how big they were as products over in the States versus because they were a UK-based developer, FRD, the coverage that they got over here was quite like overwhelming. Like the reason I bought Future Perfect was because there was previews for months and months, like going up to its release, and I was like, well, this is a GameCube FPS game. Like, oh, these guys are X-Rare. I should give this a go. And like, yeah, I had like again, I hadn't played it. Well, I say I hadn't played a game like it as a kid, but because it had vehicle sections and stuff in it, I was like, oh, this is a bit like Halo, but not quite Halo. Or, oh, this is a bit like Half-Life, but not quite Half-Life, which has always just sort of stuck with me as a result. But yeah, I mean, you read all the reviews for fucking Time Splitters 2 and 3, and it's like, but it hasn't got Xbox Live multiplayer, so fuck it. And it's like, really?
That's it. That's what you get.
I mean, the third one did, but they were like, yeah, but you wouldn't want to play it over Halo 2, and it's like, well, that sounds like a you problem, I think.
We're knocking off points because we're wankers.
We're knocking it off because it's not a game that we all got paid to like, allegedly.
I mean, I will say, just to out myself, is, I was playing Halo 2 online at that time because I had Xbox Live. I wasn't playing Future Perfect online. I don't think I found anyone.
There we go. Well, that's what I mean. Like, nobody bought it. There was nobody online to play it. So it's like...
Like, I'm someone who found out about the fucking 7-7 bombings playing fucking Jedi Academy on Xbox Live.
That is...
a bizarre little life story.
Imagine if we had just slipped that into that episode. Just like... and now we have an interesting story from Snake about
I should have been on the Jedi Academy episode. I could have said that, and everyone would have gone, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
why are you bringing that
what's
up?
the 7-7 bombing again? Just like, oh no.
Well, time for some historical context, even though this applies
Well, let me
nothing
get
to
you
the
up to
game other
speed.
than I was playing it at the time.
You just do a Johnny Harris style video where you just pull out a map and just start like marker penning stuff.
Meanwhile, I found out about no terrorist activities while playing the Time Splitters games, so...
There we go. So that's what, that's good.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that if Time Splitters 4 came out, we'd have no more
7-7 bombings would have never happened.
Well, I was going to say we'd have no more terrorist activity from then on.
They would have been too busy at home playing Time Splitters 4.
Exactly right. We'd be playing... ISIL would have their own clan. We'd be playing against them instead.
Yeah, they'd be bigger than FaZe.
Yo, I'm signed up to ISIL.
They got the best coaches.
Banks causes controversy by changing team to ISIL. Oh no! I'm imagining, like, you know, those pictures that they have on the news of, like, you know, when people go over to, like, Afghanistan to train to join the Taliban, but his face with the wrap around his head holding the AK.
Jemima Bigham has been extradited by the ISIL esports team.
Just before the game, it's like, remember, folks, you do not have to hand it to him.
Now watch this carry.
Watch this. Watch this, bro. Fuck. Should we just put Hayes immediately at the shit emoji, or what?
Yeah, that's not even number 6. The shit emoji.
He wins the Pooh Award for... Because, I don't know...
It's not good.
Hellfire Revolution is a bland sandwich, but at least it's competently made.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess that's the thing. Do we want to... Because Hayes, I don't think, like... What have we got to say about it that we didn't say on the episode, which is just...
I don't. What did I mention how it flared my tinnitus repeatedly because of its fucking sound effects?
Oh, speaking of which, I think the new, there's an FPS game that's out or whatever where people have patched it now to remove the, tinnitus sound from it.
Oh, that's nice, I guess. But it usually doesn't bother me. It's just that Hayes was so fucking overbearing about it. Like, it's not something that bothers me too much when I'm playing a game or whatever. It's just that one was so particular in its tone and pitch and frequency. Tone, pitch, and frequency. Wow, I could have just said the same thing 3 times, but I meant frequency differently. But, you know, I don't know. I didn't bring it up in the episode because it's such a petty point, but if you're asking for stuff I'm pretty sure I didn't mention, that's it. A game that fucking was flaring a chronic problem I had. That knocks it a few.
A game so bad that it genuinely hurts you.
It was just very boring, and I'm glad Above Up joined us both on the stream and on that episode to pull up a guide and fucking just tell me where to go, because I would have never had my pride would not have allowed me to do that myself, I don't think.
I think considering, like, I think before this series started, people probably knew where Hayes was going to go, but, like...
It was much worse than expected. It was surprising.
Oh, yeah. The funniest thing was that people reached out and said, oh, do you reckon you might have, like, an experience with it where you go, oh, actually, it's better than people remember? And I kind of joked, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have to play it. No, Jenny, like, this is probably worse than people were saying. Like, we fucking ragged hard on
it's too
Star Trek
short.
Elite. Yeah, like, Star Trek Elite Forces we ragged hard on, which... I've talked to people after the fact and they were like, you're fucking wrong on that. Like, that game is genuinely good. And it's like, we didn't play the multiplayer. The campaign is genuinely shit. And they were like, well, I didn't play the campaign. And it's like, well, there we go. Yeah, Hayes has... If you're out there, if you're one of our video essay friends and you're considering, like, Hayes 15 years later better than you, just throw your computer out the window. There is no means to defend this game. You can't do it on the point of it's an anti-war parable because the writing is bollocks. Like, there's nothing anti-war about it.
It made me want to go to war. I'm not sure with who. I don't even know what my target
made me
was.
want to go to war with Ubisoft.
It's not an anti-war parable. It's a bad one if it is, because it just made me feel more violent.
And the thing is, as well, was that, like, this is a classic, like, if people, like, whatever you think bullet time looks like in your head, Hayes is the perfect example of this in regards to, oh, this was probably massively mismanaged by the publisher. Ding. They were probably overly ambitious. Ding. It came out, like, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ding, ding, ding. Like, everything going against it. But even then, just the core development of it and the core concept behind it, like, I don't want to say it was rotten, but it just felt like it came from a very weird place. Like, it wasn't... Like, at least with the Time Splitters games, it felt like we want to develop on what we did with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. And Second Sight is similar in regards to, we have done spy games, but we want to, like, cut our teeth and make, like, a Metal Gear game or, like, something a bit more cinematically robust. You look at Hayes, like, all the interviews about Hayes was, like, they kind of paid lip service to, it's about violence in video games, and you go, okay, but, like, do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? And it's like, I don't know. We find it interesting. And it's like, okay, that's not as interesting. But then it was just very.
That is the ultimate thing about Haze. Is usually when there's a fascinating story behind a game, some of that, bile, some of that interesting goop manages to seep its way in. With Haze, it's like it's all an interesting story behind the game, but is intolerably dull to play. The game isn't even scarred in a way that makes it interesting.
We've played Die Hard Vendetta is a perfect example of a game that not even it's on the surface not even his mother could love, and yet there are so many interesting elements to that title that you just kind of have to sit up and go, okay, there is something here.
You don't get a game like this one every too often. It's of its own fucking kind.
Yes. Whereas Haze was made. I still feel like it was made with cynical intentions. Again, the story of Time Split is free in the fact that they would show Pony and going, we can do Half-Life, we can do this. And it feels like that carried on into Haze of them being just frustrated with the fact that no one was quite getting what they were doing. Not so much the players, but the publishers. And them going, fine, you want Halo, we'll give you Halo. But again, Halo has levity in it. Halo is a fucking guy in a full Admiral costume going, Chief, what do you think you're doing? And a big green man going, sending the bomb back and then flying through space with a big bomb. Haze has, let's blow up the land tank, and then a guy saying, don't tell my mom.
There's a room people going, did I do bad? And then fucking topping themselves.
Jesus, yeah.
I don't, it is a sensitive subject, and I do respect that, but also, why is suicide the funniest part of that game? And of the fucking Homefront.
Speaking of...
Number 5. Fucking throw it in number 5. It's not as bad as Haze, but it's not as good as Time Splitters 1.
Yeah.
Or as I'm now going to call it, Time Splitter. Singular.
Time Splitter. Yeah, it's funny. Maybe a couple of weeks ago I might have made the argument that at least Homefront, I would rather replay it over Time Splitters, but the further I get away from Time Splitters 1, it's kind of no, I would probably replay that over Homefront the Revolution.
Yeah, you could... it's a thing of framing as well, but Time Splitters, you could maybe open it up and crank out a couple levels and feel like you had a satisfying time and you've done something. Homefront the Revolution, if you open up and, knock out a couple of objectives, you think, fuck, now I'm on the grind.
Yeah. They have different grind, I guess. Time Splitters grind is pure arcade grind. It's the same levels again and again, but you do them faster, you do them harder, you play them with different weapons or whatever. That's it. But it doesn't lie to you and say this is new content in the way that Homefront the Revolution reuses the same templates again and again and says, oh, you're in a different location and you have to do this thing, which is totally brand new, but it's not. It's turning on a radio or pushing a button or something like that. And I don't know, just Time Splitters 1 is not as good as 2, but it still has...
It's fun. It has, I would even argue, I would say Time Splitters 1 does have an aspect that Time Splitters 2 and 3 are weaker on. Even if it's accidental, Time Splitters 1 is the fastest paced and punchiest in a few ways. It's a very good score attack game in a way that 2 and 3 aren't. So even though it is weaker and even though it feels like it's building to something more, it does, through its lackadaisical construction or lesser construction, however you want to put it, it does have something of its own fucking meat to it.
It's probably, if they did another Time Splitters game, that would be quite cool to have, a score attack mode. It's funny, one of the things that quite a few people reached out to us during the recording of this series, and unfortunately, it was at times where, because we had pre-batched a bunch of episodes, and only now we're kind of getting around to finishing it up. But a lot of people reached out who were, Time Splitter speedrunners and stuff like that, who wanted to give us, info on, oh, hey,
it happened a couple of times. A viewer of mine, Mutant1988, was like, I have a friend who, is a big speedrunner of this game, and it was kind of tragic, because he did reach out while I was playing it, and I was posting my times, And I'm feeling nostalgic already about, like, I was having fun doing those Arcade League fucking games and, like,
Oh,
posting
yeah.
my times and, like, knocking them out. But it was like, I have a friend who, thinks this, and you can go to him for tips. And I did turn that down, not to be rude, it was just like, I want to figure this out for myself,
Sure,
kind of thing. Yeah. And he reached out again. It's like, it's good to have that information, but we pre-batched episodes in, like, your case, and in my case, it was, just like, I prefer to figure these things out by my lonesome.
Sure, but we even got like interesting information from people like about like development stories and stuff like that, which we weren't able to kind of incorporate at the time. But like, I mean, it's funny. It's a game called Time Splitters, and it just has a really big time speed running community behind it. Like, what weird serendipity,
Yeah, like a guy who'd kind of platinumed all the like arcade things, which like I like the game. I'm never going to platinum all of them.
Oh, sure.
I don't have the skill nor the patience, but it's like fucking hell, man. Like if you can do that, props on you.
But I'll give like TS1 this, which is like, and again, this might it's weighted against Homefront anyways because I mean, Haze like I mean I said it before and I'll say it again, but like obviously. Games before and games after the financial crisis have a very different flavor to them in regards to, and I don't want this to be rose-tinted glasses because like the GameCube and Xbox era had their issues as well coming off the PlayStation era.
It's like I say about this because I think games only tend to get better and better, but I look at it in a perspective of most good games keep existing. I have to say most because, there are games that are sent offline and, die and all that. Like, I like City of Heroes. I can play a private server, but it might not be quite the same. But I tend not to focus on the bad crap coming out and the AAA and whatever. I just play whatever interests me. And I know that most games will stick around. And the good old games will always exist, and I can emulate them nowadays. And you tend to forget the crap anyway.
Yeah, and it always tends to be the thing of that if something was good at the time, it usually stays good. Like, control schemes change, but often, like, Metroid Prime was a weird example of, like, replaying that on the game, like, replaying that on Dolphin, and it's got, like, tank controls and stuff like that, but the game is so built around it that it doesn't really matter that much.
Like, I'm saying this with some degree of hypocrisy, because I think we both want more Time Splitters, but Time Splitters 2 exists and is great, and, we can be happy about that. Yeah. But I still want more Time Splitters. Or it's like, I want the developers to be rewarded for making such a great fucking game.
Oh, yeah, and that was going to kind of be my final point on it as well. But, like, what I was cut into was that Time Splitters was very lucky to be made in a time where they were the perfect dart guys. And even though they had to go over Eidos's head to Sony and say, we don't want to do Redemption yet because we're going to need 3 years of like money and development time, but we can turn around a multiplayer game for you in 10 months. They had like so much slack to making like this funny little game where you have different characters from different time periods with, these speedrunnery levels set in like really interesting locations. Whereas Homefront, they were basically told it needs these features, it needs to hit this like length. It's going to have DLC. It needs to hit these kind of metrics, which, again, like they probably didn't have the opportunity to push back on something like Homefront and say, no, let's do this instead. They were probably just at their wits' end of this game needs to be released in a year, and if we need to keep the lights on, this is the only way that we do it, And
yeah. There is a tragedy to modern development of all the bells and whistles you need to throw on, and just the cost of development in general rises as graphical demands. That's why I'm not a fan of graphics snobs. That's why I'm not a fan of why does this look like a PS3 game. It's like, I would have been fucking happy with PS2 graphics if it meant a better game and cheaper development.
It's the funny thing that the two best friends used to say, which was like, if you just had PS2 games with good anti-aliasing, that's enough.
Metal Gear Solid 2 still looks fucking banging.
Fucking
that's a high-end that's a high-end PS2 game, I know, but that was like 2001.
Oh Jesus, yeah, and it's like all the cell shading games from the PS2 and the GameCube era still look incredibly good. Like,
I mean, it's like talking about Time Splitters. The art style ages far slower than graphics ever do.
Yeah, exactly. If you build something with if you build something with an art style in mind rather than just trying to aim for real. I mean, it's why I think it's funny with like Half-Life 2. That being said, like Valve secretly patch that game all the time, but like Half-Life 2 still looks really good,
Yeah.
And it's getting to a point now where like the best looking game on the market, I still think, is like Batman Arkham Knight, which came out 8 years ago.
Well, it's funny. This is a very bizarre end case, but like Yakuza 6, first game made on a Dragon engine, is a gorgeous game. It looks beautiful. The characters are animated wonderfully. The city is so wonderfully rendered, and they've had to keep downgrading since then to keep the fucking cycle going. Like, better graphics are a fucking trap.
Oh, 100%, yeah, because it is I mean, it's why we're in a place now where PS5 games are still getting PS4 releases, because we can't. We've hit a point. Like, we're stuck. Like, we cannot hit any harder than that. Like,
with diminishing returns set in maybe 5-10 years ago, and we just keep going.
Yeah, there's nothing more we can do. Like, we can make lighting more accurate with ray tracing, but it. Like,
and we were doing perfectly fine with raster graphics. Ray tracing is a nice gimmick. It's cool. Yeah. It looks neat. The reflections are fine, but we've had reflections for a long time in gaming. I don't know. I think we're both old and bitter, but I think we're bitter in this way of like, this could be so much easier and better games could be made if you just didn't fucking throw all the money at making things look better instead of just being like, I don't know.
Or even just like, not everything has to be AAA.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Take
the indie scene.
risks on
The
small
indie scene is
stuff.
where all the fun stuff is happening nowadays, and I'm fine with that. That's what keeps, there's fun indie stuff coming out.
It's why I think Embracer is such a weird thing of their big successes so far have been re-releasing GameCube and PS2 era games in HD, like Destroy All Humans and the SpongeBob games and stuff, and like Red Faction, something that they're working on at the moment, which is games that people probably didn't have back in the day, but they can release those at 20 quid a pop, and people go, well, I didn't play this in the day, so this is a brand new game to me. And PS5 games, first-party Sony games, are now 70 quid, so I'm going to take a chance on something a little bit cheaper, you know?
Yeah.
Which, again, that's why
I try not to actually be bitter about the state of games
No,
nowadays,
I'm
because good stuff comes out, but it's like, everyone gripes about new releases in AAA and, there's no imagination in the industry. And in the industry, maybe, but it's still out there. You just have to look for the good stuff.
We're absolutely on the same page in regards to, like, if you just focus on AAA, then
you're going to be miserable.
You're just going to drive yourself up the wall, because AAA for the past 10 years, since the financial crisis, has literally been safe bets.
And it's also, not only a safe bets thing, but also kind of AAA has kind of figured out what works, so they're going to keep doing that until it no longer does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, that's why we're in this hell now of, like, I can't get out of my head of the fucking Suicide Squad game where it has a battle pass and a shop, where it's like, it's for a single player game.
It's reaching like absolute saturation point, and that's also where I just kind of want to bring up, to get sort of hypocritical while I'm on my soapbox. The reason it's going to keep happening as well is because most people don't really listen to games media. They're just kind of casual observers who just buy whatever, and they're not paying attention to any wider discourse.
Sure, but then it's always the thing as well is that, like, it's Warner Brothers has Warner Brothers money, so people will buy the game that gets advertised, And I'm not saying that, sheeple, or if only they knew better.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not saying that either, because I think most people just want to get on with their lives. I'm not even saying it in a judgmental way. It's like, we are in the minority who take this stuff extra seriously. And
Absolutely.
I'd say us, we go that step beyond of, like, I don't know, beyond the AAA veil of like, the indie scene is where the fun stuff is happening, so there's no need to be that bitter. It's like complaining, there's no artsy films coming out of Hollywood. It's like, yeah, that's not their fucking business.
Not anymore, no. Like, don't go to Disney expecting The Bicycle Thief. They're just going to pump out Marvel movies, and even they've hit a point now where the CGI in them is like hit rock bottom because they have burnt they can't afford to do this anymore.
Anyone telling you to be angry about the state of modern art who focuses on the big industries is either lying to you or a moron.
No, or anybody that tells you that, like, the state of AAA is caused by a group or whatever, they're a grifter. Their
businesses are driven by where the money is. That's all they care about.
That has been the truth since time in memoriam.
Yeah,
and
there isn't a social angle to where the money goes.
No.
You want to care about that? Care about where the money's coming from?
Yeah, ask where. Yeah, follow the money, as they say.
Yeah, as Chris Tucker says in Rush Hour 2, follow the rich white man.
And then as
That's how I learned how the world works was Chris Tucker in Rush Hour 2.
As Jackie Chan famously said in Rush Hour 1, what's up? Oh no.
You want to finish that sentence?
No, I'll put a comical beep in there so people think that I actually said
okay.
it. That'd be funny. After this rant about shit.
Wow, that was bizarre. Yeah, where the
how did that James really did get radicalized into a gamer. What the fuck?
Yeah, free radicals, fucking great. What the fuck was that? Why did that happen? I was like thinking halfway through, how did this fucking happen? And now we're on the other end of it.
I know. I don't know. I don't want to put all my. I don't want to trust it Embracer because they are also a company. At the end of the day, money comes first. They may decide, we'll do a remaster of 2, and if that doesn't sell, then whatever.
I'm gonna put it this way, and it's kind of nonchalant, but if it comes out and it's good, I'm happy. If it has online multiplayer, we'll be playing the shit out of that. If it doesn't, I'll live. You know?
Yeah, I can. We have means to play Time Splitters 2 in the year 2023.
Yeah, we have means. It'd be nice if it truly exists again, but, you know, Time Splitters 2 still exists and is great.
And exactly as you said, it would be nice to see... Because it won't be... all those guys now are in their 60s. So, few of the... Like, Doak is back and Ellis is back at this new Free Radical that Embracer put together, but... You know, like Kilton, you know, the art director and the level guys, they're not. But like, essentially, what they would need to do is build a team from scratch, and probably what they would want to do is, you know, have people remake levels from like Time Splitters 1 and 2 to say, do you get it? Like I always think of the Crash remaster, or fucking Metroid Prime Remastered. Like, to give a really recent example, they remade that game to basically be like, why did people like Metroid Prime in the first place? Because we need to make a new one. And so it's like, let's go back to the well and remake it with new graphics, but also figure out, okay, where can we improve with this?
I mean, that's always the dicey thing, is what the idea of what do people want, where do the problems lie, is such a gamble. And that's where problems can come from on remasters, and that is when they kind of misunderstand what people like. It's like with the Crash remake, which was very good, but they redid the controls on Crash 1, which made certain levels extremely hard because those games were programmed with the idea of very kind of blocky, somewhat rigid controls.
Yeah, and also, exactly. They built it around analog, which, it was never designed for that. But also, like, there was, like, weird things that they built it in Unity or whatever, and, like, so character hitboxes weren't quite right. It was very... even just little things like that, like, kind of upset the experience for some people. But then... Like, Toys for Bob did Crash 4, and it's not a perfect... I mean, it's exactly what I wanted out of a brand new Crash Bandicoot game in the year of our Lord 2021 or 2020, whenever it came out. And so, like, if they... Like, I think to go back to what you mentioned earlier with that, if they made a new Time Split, it's very difficult to say, because it's just like...
What do you do?
Maybe make the controls slightly... Like,
I mean, like, because if it was PC, I just want it to be kind of... slightly Twitch shootery, but not all the way Quake, you know?
Sure, you would want to return maybe more to the speed of 1, I guess.
I would like somewhere between 1 and 2. I mean, here's the thing. You know, this is the tricky position I'm in, because I'd want it to have online multiplayer and custom lobbies and all that, but I'm approaching 30. My reflexes have tapered off extremely early for where I am. I would get owned by everyone online, but I'd be glad it exists.
You say that, though. My joy with playing the Halo Infinite multiplayer was that it was also all men in their 30s, so their reflexes were shit as well, so I actually had a really good time.
So you think maybe with a Time Splitters crowd, you'd be able to keep up?
Yeah, exactly. You're in the old folks' home playing Time Splitters with the rest of them. That's what you want. You know?
I mean, maybe if you had a control, you'd have the kind of auto-aim GoldenEye. Like, I'd want it to control closer to 2 than Future Perfect, though I can see on PC maybe the Future Perfect model would be a bit more sensible with its actual aiming. The need to actually point and shoot.
I think if they made Time Splitters 4 like 10 years ago, like they would have added like sprint and aim down sights. now that we've had Doom 2016, they don't need to. Like, you can just make it a quick game, and you don't need ADS.
Maybe, yeah, that could be a blessing in disguise as they skip that era of, innovation, trying stuff out, and now it's like, oh wait, an old-fashioned game works too, and people like that. I think it would still have grenade buttons in Melee, I imagine, but...
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, 2 had grenade in Melee, didn't it?
No, 2 didn't have grenades in Melee. You still
Oh,
had
3 had
Swap Fist,
grenades
3
in
had
Melee.
grenades in Melee.
Yeah, that's right.
That was when that stuff was coming in. So they were on the... I want to say... I'm not sure if he's right to say the cutting edge, but, they were keeping cognizant of trends.
They were well aware of what but then that could have also...
can you imagine if Time Splitters 4 came out in the era of loadouts?
Oh, gee.
That would be fucking funny.
Don't you remember the fucking preview where it was the Gears of War, the fucking Gears of War logo, but it was the monkey?
I remember the Halo Zanzibar.
Oh, yeah, where it was the monkey, yeah. It's like... Oh,
Halo 3, Time Splitters Future Perfect did have sticky grenades like plasmas.
That is true, yeah.
They were very easy to use.
I think we are very lucky that we're almost in like the post. Like, it's funny that I said that AAA games now all have to be Destiny because they're terrified that anything else won't make money. But
that is one of the big AAA...
been quite lucky.
Yeah, it is one of the big AAA indulgences nowadays. Is they want to have their walled garden forever game, and most of them are going to wither and die.
And I think we have now finally, I think the Suicide Squad again, not to keep fucking ragging.
You are on this game. You are riding this game's ass.
I am. I'm doing suplexes and I don't know. Fuck. I'm giving Harley Quinn the people's elbow. I think that game will come out, and that will be the point where people realize, oh, we can't do this anymore. The problem is that it's been in development for since Destiny came out.
Oh,
so
Christ.
That was a cool trend. Like, they thought that was a new trend to implement. But the Avengers was the game that broke the camel's back. Where why is this a live service
I can think
game?
of nothing more heroic than slight stat boosts.
Oh, my favorite thing from the old cult comics was when he turned iridium and whatever into making his spine 0.2% more resistant to poison. That was cool.
That represents the Silver Age to me, and by Silver Age, I
classic,
mean silver rarity.
Classic Stan the Man Rising right there. And again, it's one of those things that because games are now in the oven for 5 years, you're just going to see these things a little bit longer. But I think, I mean, we're going to...
basically, because of the length of development, games are on a slight delay from popular consensus at all times anyway.
Yeah.
So you have this bizarre, uncomfortable in-between period where people are sick of a trend, but games that have been developed when the trend was still kind of doing well have to come out.
Yes, exactly. And
Mafia 2 and 3, I feel, both suffered from that.
Mafia 3 especially, I think,
is
probably...
Mafia 2 came out and people complained there should be more open world stuff, there should be more freedom, there should be more shootouts. Mafia 3 gave people exactly what was asked for years ago before people were sick of that.
Yeah. But even then, 3 was kind of like, we preferred the design of 1 and 2, where it was a little bit tighter. And it's like, you don't know what you want.
How people figure out what they want years too late.
No, and sometimes it's one of those things that, sometimes you just want something completely unique. Sometimes you want a Time Splitters 2. Nothing on the market's like that. And it's funny because you said, is it a boomer shooter? And it is like, there's the Quake style stuff that New Blood does, but no one's doing a game like Time Splitters at the moment, which I think is...
You know what? That should be the millennial shooter. We need to figure out how to make that sound cool, because boomer shooter, that has, that registers. That's good. That is a crunchy, nice, delicious word to say, but there's no millennial shooter. That doesn't sound right.
You and me, maybe not so much, but people like the GameCube. What do we call it? A cube shooter?
Oh, there we go.
As in a shooter from the era of the game. So, those
the
early
PS Tutor. No, that's terrible. That's god-awful. Jesus Christ.
I have eaten too many beans, and now I'm PS Tooting all over the place. But yeah, just that kind of era of small, boxy, GoldenEye inspired
There was
stuff.
fun in that era of big companies hadn't figured out what works, so they were just making shit up.
That's what the podcast is about, is finding those weird games that either
now
took
it's on the indie scene to keep experimenting and figuring shit out, and then AAA will steal the good ideas and make them boring.
Exactly. Well, yeah, no, very true.
that's how it works these days.
Fortnite will put it in their game a week later, because Epic just have sweatshops of people churning that game for every single
years of roguelites, and then eventually a AAA studio decides to make Returnal.
That's true. That's a weird one, because I love what are they, the Super Stardust guys, Supermassive, because they are like an indie-sized developer, but then for some fucking reason, Sony was like, "Here's the God of War budget. Good luck." And they basically decided, what if we made a twin-stick shooter, but it's also a third-person Sony action cinematic game? It's so weird.
I actually do want to play it. I made that joking thing of, I've not played this yet, but I've heard the combat is fun, so maybe one day.
I'm terrified that it won't run on my PC, so I haven't got it yet, but maybe soon. But yeah, that's our power rankings for the Free Radical Design series. So at number 2 is Haze. Number 5, Homefront: The Revolution. Number 4, Time Splitters 1. Number 3, Time Splitters 3, Future Perfect. At number 2, Second Sight. Second place, Second Sight. And at number 1, Time Splitters 2, for time in memoriam.
Yeah.
We did it on the Raven series. We don't have to do it on. Do you have any thoughts or feelings about the box arts? Do we want to quickly rank those?
Well, you've talked a lot about how much you like the Time Splitters 2 box art. I'm not as
that's number
minded
1
as you are to quite think. I think it looks nice.
It's my favorite one. I think it gets across the concept of the game, which is very comic booky. You have all these different characters. It is, I don't know, I just find it like it is one of those iconic covers from that era, I think.
Meanwhile, for me, my favorite cover is the Second Sight cover, which I will say this, it's maybe a bit too edgy, a bit too grim for the game, because the game never really gets that miserable as the Second Sight cover, but it's so cool looking to me.
Oh, I know, that feels like it should be like a heavy, it should have the parental advisory sticker.
Yeah,
in the corner.
That is an album cover thing, a body tinged in red, head cradled in hands and a gun.
But he's holding a gun.
He's holding a gun, but he's miserable, and it's like, oh man, I want to know what has got this guy this upset. I want to know.
What is the gun involved? What story is it telling?
It's so good. It's so strong to me. It speaks to my 12-year-old self as the hypest fucking cover there's ever been.
Second Sight is my close second as well. I think that is such a... And again, it shows that, it shows...
It's the dichotomy of them. Time Splitters 2, very cartoony, very evocative.
Multiplayer, yeah.
Multiple people, has one character, one thing, and it's just making you intrigued. So, what's going on here?
It's a conspiracy. The game is a conspiracy. And now for these ones, I'm not really... I mean,
these are very ambivalent. The Time Splitters one you've grabbed fucking sucks. I don't know if that is the cover.
Well, the good thing I didn't grab the fucking American Time Splitters.
Oh yeah, I've seen that, which is just Cortez standing in front of a light.
There's 2 Time Splitters ones. There's one with the robot, which I thought looked nicer than the other one, which is essentially going for the Time Splitters 2 one, but with 3D models, and it just looks like a big mess.
Time Splitters Future Perfect is very generic. It's very dull to me.
Yeah, that's on par with Homefront. Actually,
yeah, it's man. Oh yeah, they're aiming at each other.
There we go. They're having a shootout with each other.
They're very bland. I don't know how much visuals you're doing for this episode, but
none at all. This is purely for your enjoyment.
Oh, nice. Okay, and Haze is.
See, that's the thing. Haze, I think, is on par with the Time Splitters 1 in that they're both kind of generic.
Yeah, Haze is generic of another time.
Yeah, the Time Splitters 1 was literally we have an afternoon to put this together. Has anybody got Photoshop free?
I mean, Haze, meanwhile, is overselling it.
Oh, yeah, 100. Haze was, they put Ubisoft's best guys on, we said that Second Sight is edgelord, but kind of in a cute way. That's what's the thing where it's affectionate versus derogatory?
Yeah.
That's edgelord affectionate. That's edgelord derogatory.
Yeah, Haze is trying way too hard to be cool. Second Sight is intriguing. Second Sight is okay, this is edgy, but you've earned it. I want to know.
Haze, I'm going to put below both Run the Revolution and Time Splitters 3. The question is does Time Splitters 3 go above those two, or does it just, I don't know.
Time Splitters 3 goes above those two for me, because it's, like, at least I look at it and it looks clean, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, the Time Splitters, so Time Splitters 3 goes above Homefront the Revolution, but then Homefront versus Time Splitters 1 is the best.
God, that's tricky, because Homefront the Revolution is just kind of boring and doesn't tell me anything. Meanwhile, Time Splitters is like, it doesn't tell me anything, but there's a robot, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm easily impressed by that.
Homefront the Revolution feels like a thumbnail that I would make, and so for that reason, I'm putting it. No, I think I'm with you. Time Splitters has just got slightly more juice to it, even though it's bad. It's a bad Photoshop job, but it is like, eh.
Yeah.
And Haze, actually, yeah, I'm gonna put Haze above Homefront the Revolution. There we go.
Yeah, it's funny, edgelord.
Yeah.
Homefront the Revolution is just kind of like, you stop looking at it and you forget what the actual composition is whatsoever.
I would say, actually, I joked that it looked like one of my thumbnails. I would actually put better contrast on that, because that is, because like at small
Damn
size,
Busters, what
that
were
is
you
such
thinking?
a like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is it?
Yeah, it's just
This is where-
nothing.
Versus with Haze, like, you just have bright piss yellow, so you go into a shop and you're gonna see it immediate. Well, yellow. Well, it's the Philadelphia Killers. It's yellow. It's black and yellow.
Oh, there you go. They were too early.
Yeah, I know. Why wasn't Haze set in Philly? There we go.
Maybe it was in the far future. Oh no, it was
Oh
a
my
South.
God,
it
what,
was a
where,
South American country. But
Yeah, where they moved everybody to Bolivia. the Bolivia Ravens. So there we go, folks. Time Splitters 2, second sight, followed by, in distant third place, Time Splitters 2, Time Splitters 1, Haze, and Homefront.
Oh, you mean
Revolution.
Time Splitters Future Perfect in distant?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Time
yeah.
Splitters Future Perfect.
This is the
Now,
this is
Snake,
the box art rankings.
do you want to check the spoilers to see whether I was correct in my predictions?
This was for the actual rankings.
Oh yeah, so just to put the actual rankings back, it was
all right.
Haze,
So you put it Time Splitters 2, Second Sight, Time Splitters Future Perfect, Time Splitters 1, Homefront the Revolution, Haze. You had it bang fucking on.
Wowee, folks, the great.
The fucking Houdini over here escaping from being wrong.
Something that Harry Houdini was famous for doing.
That was a completely bungled.
Watch as I make this argument disappear. Nice. Do we want to do this very quick quiz that I
Yes,
put
I
together?
do. Let's get all we can here.
Okie coke.
Every
Right, I
cut
will
of meat. Let's go.
Stop sharing my screen then.
All right, time to get questions wrong.
Future Imperfect. So, as we kind of talked about on the podcast, these games were very well liked, but didn't quite find an audience in the end. But, as a bit of a fun thing, I decided to go looking for the meanest reviews that people wrote about these games.
Ah, good. This is a good quiz.
Now, you may be wondering, well, James, what's the one objective review source on the internet to go to? And of course, as you know, it is the GameFAQ forums. So these are all collated from there. I've rewritten them a tiny bit just to remove clues that might give it away. But basically, these are 6 negative reviews for 6 free Radical Design games. You just need to tell me what game it is based on the review.
I like this quiz. I was also thinking the moment you said I had to go through and edit them, I thought you were going to say to remove the F slur from all of them the moment you said it was game facts.
Fortunately, not a lot of the people who wrote the reviews on GameFAQs for the free Radical games, not too spicy. Which
Not
is
too
fortunate.
spicy.
Not too spicy. Speaking of which, starting with the first one. Simply put, this game is outclassed in its bracket by every other big budget release this generation. This game made me feel unwell, it bored me to tears, and irritated the piss out of me. What game is that?
That's so generic. Future Perfect.
I am afraid that is incorrect. That is Homefront the Revolution.
Ah!
And that
I was
is a
thinking,
review.
like, with all the comparisons to Halo 2 and all of that earlier on.
No, unfortunately, that is simply put. Homefront the Revolution is outclassed in its bracket by every other big release this generation. I think it was originally like the PS4 generation. That review, by the way, was written by Stephanie Sterling, which is why I threw it in, because irritated the piss out of me was a line that annoyed me. So there we go.
I mean, everything about Stephanie Sterling annoys the piss out of me, so...
There we go. Does it irritate the piss?
The most dull, contrite, worst opinions, fucking annoyance. There you go, keep that in, don't edit that out.
For our next episode, Stephanie Sterling will be here too.
Yeah, have her guest, I don't fucking care.
Talk about Postal 2.
Good. Have
Good.
me on. Get me in, coach.
Get me in, coach. Right, next game. This game gets boring very fast, and it is definitely not worth the money I paid. Some could say I'm not being fair by not reviewing the multiplayer, but the fact is, there isn't that much to say about it. The level design is nice, but that's not enough to save this game from the abyss. The lesson? Good visuals and audio don't make up for crappy gameplay.
Alright, that took me on a ride, that did. That took me on a ride, because at first I thought, gotta be Haze. Gotta be Haze, because the multiplayer, not much to talk about. Good level design, though. That throws a flashbang into the equation. That's a bizarre one.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Could be any of them, though. Multiplayer isn't not much there to talk about good level design, so that could also be Time Splitters 1, because there's not much... Actually, the multiplayer was still kind of intact, but kind of flat. And GameFAQs was around at that point.
Yeah, the reason I went with GameFAQs, other than the fact that I thought it would be like true gamer opinion, is that it's gone back to like 30 odd years. So
yeah,
like,
99, I think, of people. There are posters from that era.
So the reviews are timely to when these games came out.
Fuck me though, man. Because that could be anyone with a bad opinion or a potentially.
I mean,
good
that's
one.
why I picked them.
Good level design. I am going to guess. I'm going to guess Haze.
Unfortunately, not. That was Time Splitters 2.
No way. There's not much to talk about. There's not much to talk about
with
in your
the
life.
money I paid.
This person didn't have friends.
Good visual and audio don't make up for crappy gameplay.
You know, there's so much there to unpack, because you could believe someone believed Haze had good visuals at the time.
That is true.
I don't know why you would believe that, but you could.
Okay, so that's Homefront and TS2 off the board. So four games.
Oh,
four
right.
Guesses.
All right, I need to write this down. I didn't realize that these were eliminations.
Oh, well, it makes it easier for you because it's technically eliminations.
I'm gonna get at least one of these right or not.
I thought it would be. I thought it would be too hard if I had like multiple reviews from the same game. So no,
Okay.
Six reviews for 6 games. 7 Brides of 7 Brothers. Right, next game. This one you might get. The game has both major ups and downs going for it, but I think the misses outweigh the pluses here. If you're just gonna have a new first-person shooter, then you should buy this game. Otherwise, just leave the title as a rental. I'd wait for the expected sequel, though.
Haze.
That's Time Splitters 1.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just thought... I loved the idea of the reality in which wait for the expected sequel to Haze. I was like...
Well, you thought that I was maybe going for a double bluff of, oh yeah, the sequel to Haze will be good.
Yeah, I was thinking... maybe overthinking this game a little. But I also... No, I think I was more just genuinely taken with the idea of someone expecting a sequel to Haze.
Jesus. Well, 3 games left. TS1, TS2, and Homefront.
I'm feeling I'm going to get all of these fucking wrong.
Let's find out.
So, So, wait.
Time Splitters 1, Time
was
Splitters 2, and Homefront are off the board.
Homefront, Time Splitters 2, and Time Splitters off the board.
Right. Next review. A very good game if you're looking for a filler in between waiting for the next big release. It probably won't keep you occupied for too long, but it is a nice change of pace. That's my review, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
Second Sight.
That one is Haze.
I'm sinking into my chair, like...
That's my review, and I hope you've enjoyed it.
I did not.
I did not enjoy that review. So the words I omitted from that, which would have given the date away, was a very good game if you're looking for a filler in between waiting for MGS4.
Yeah,
I guess suppose so. You know,
Yeah.
the PS3 famously had no games. So
yeah, true. That was the meme.
That was the meme. So you were probably playing Haze before MGS4 came out.
I was just sitting there playing Haze like, well, this sucks, but at least Metal Gear Solid 4 will be here soon.
Yeah, we'll be doing that on the next. You were really upset when we didn't do that on the next episode. All right, 2 games left. 2 games on the list. 2 games reviewed.
Future Perfect and fucking No, not Homefront. Future Perfect and fucking Second Sight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, this one hopefully might give it away. So, like any FPS, you run through a stage just killing anything in
Well,
sight.
hang on a second. I think I got this one. It's the one that's an FPS.
Well, hold on.
Oh.
Like any FPS, you run through a stage just killing anything in sight and completing the few missions you're given. Now, in this game, there is no real difference in what you have to do if playing on easy or hard. The only difference is a bullet will do more damage. Brackets, that your opponents have the worst aim in the world, like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. If you see this game and you're really dying for a basic shooter, pick this one up. Otherwise, I can't recommend it unless you like playing a game just for a great story.
I don't know because you paused me.
Oh no! Well, this is you go where you go or go where you are. I don't know.
A great story, but it's an FPS. Second Sight isn't an FPS, but you put it there. I'm gonna guess Second Sight. I still think this is thinking too much.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
That was Time Splitters 3.
Fucking course it was.
Sorry.
Hang on a second. Let me just get this into the fucking microphone. There we go.
Snake has opened a beer.
I've got every fucking answer wrong.
Well, not true. You get this one because this is a game that you will often see recommended to those that are looking for hidden gems. Those that go in expecting something spectacular are going to be bitterly disappointed. Go in expecting a sometimes interesting shooter, and you will be a lot more satisfied with your purchase.
Alright, what game was that?
Second Sight.
Wow. I can't believe I got all of them wrong.
Well, I mean, you get that one just through
No, I
attrition.
don't. That doesn't count. That's not how this works. I'm
That's
not
not how this works.
I'm not taking your pity point. I lost.
Damn.
I got owned completely on that one.
Ah, jeez.
What? I'm glad we did that.
What a
quiz.
waste to end this mini-series.
Oh no.
With the most difficult quiz I could come up with.
That was good.
It was funny because I was debating either doing that or Metacritic scores, but I thought you would appreciate saucy reviews a bit
I know
more.
I did. You went with the right choice.
Good visuals and audio don't make up for crappy gameplay.
These fucking morons, man. I can only, give myself solace in that those reviews must have been written, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So those people might have been in accidents. No. Jesus. No. I'm not doing
I think the real question is though, are they on January 6th, 2021?
that's where you go. Only people who have opinions that wrong could storm the White House.
They stormed the Capitol building.
I think mine was more merciful.
Good visuals and audio do not make up for a crappy president.
Oh, Jesus. These people.
These people. Well, once again, that's the end of the mini-series, folks. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. If you got any contention with our rankings, please sound off in either the review on your podcast app or comments.
Hang on, wait,
YouTube.
James.
Oh, wow.
It's not how you do it. If you got any problems with the rankings or how it, just all came to pass, donate to me on Patreon.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Don't ask
If you
why
would like
you
to
do
send
that.
if you would like to send me a direct message, the easiest way to do so is through my Patreon. So please do so there. Oh, jeez. Anything you want to promote before we wrap stuff up? I guess. Any last words?
I am to Snakera on YouTube and on Twitter. I guess I'm to Snakera anywhere I kind of wander
You're on
apart
Twitch?
from real life.
On
Do Twitch. Yeah, we do Ex Commandalus, which I've not plugged actually. It's very
That's
fun.
true. Yeah, you've gone the Sun series about plugging Ex Commandalus, which
Where we all
still
get
be
together
going.
and we do basically semi-blind, co-op XCOM where people aren't allowed to properly communicate, and bizarre drama and shit happens, and it's really fun and pretty unique to watch, and every episode nearly gives me a heart attack. More than that quiz you just heard.
I'll set up an Ex Commandalus quiz when we finish that. That'll be good.
Yeah, can you pose that to everyone but me?
Yeah, that'd be good. or commander versus contestants. See who gets the most points. We'll do it like eggheads.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, Snake, it's been lovely having you. It's been lovely going through these games as well. Even the ones which weren't very good. It was cool digging into their history and like kind of where they came from. And I don't know, it's weird. Like with the Raven series, it was an interesting thing of like their development kind of stopped in 2010, but even the games they were making then were very not super similar to their early like Doom style games, but they did feel of their time and of that developer. Whereas, yeah, Home for the Revolution, you could have told me that game came out a year ago, and I would probably believe you. Like it's still.
I don't even know what to make of that. That's kind of depressing, but yeah, I don't disagree.
It's like the clearest snapshot of like how things have changed, and I don't know. It was a shame that it didn't quite end in the way that like the Raven series did, where you could at least see the strand of a developer all the way through. Like the last like
it feels like the strand of a developer all the way through. This is a thread that has been cut.
Yeah, and it was cut with Haze. Like
yeah,
and Haze is just, and I think that was partially why I wanted to do Homefront as well. Was that Haze was just would have been such a sad way to end the series, and I think, as Charlie was kind of saying with like the Embracer stuff, there is the hope of like even if like no games come out of it, I suppose just that Time Splitters is still relevant in some circles, and I think
people still want it and still like it. There is demand. Whether or not that will be satisfied, I don't know. It's the most outlandish way I can put it, and like I put very little stock in this, but this is a very Homefront the Revolution way of looking at it, is that Time Splitters would be a threat, especially if it came out as it was, where, you do a thing and you unlock more stuff. It's like, there doesn't have to be microtransactions and DLC and little snippets. It can just all be in here and fun to unlock and fun to play at its core. And I don't know, like you kind of introduce that to this new current era of people playing games, and that might be genuinely bizarre to them. It's like, wait, I just get this? I just have this stuff?
I can play multiplayer against bots?
I can play multiplayer against bots. I can unlock new modes and they just give them to me. I get new things in the game by just playing the game and passing challenges.
I'm not going to get bullied in school for not having a particular skin, because I get that from playing the game rather than spending £7 on it.
Like, I don't know. That is like a very conspiratorial thing to say that kind of thing would be suppressed, because that would be fucking absurd, but...
Well, I mean, once a game is out, I mean, what can suppress it, you know?
Yeah, I know, but other companies are like, I think I said it during one of the episodes, but like, that would fucking give a heart attack to someone in marketing, is like, why are you doing all of this for free?
For free. Yeah, no. And it's funny, because I think Embracer might be the best call that they went with, because, like, they bought all the Eidos properties for 600 mil, and then flipped fucking Lara Croft Tomb Raider for 700 mil on its own. And so it just kind of raises the question of, well, what's the money going to go towards? Because it doesn't seem like they have dollar signs in their eyes of, this game is going to be microtransaction to hell. I think they go in the opposite direction of just nostalgia mining, which obviously has its own sort of threats and is kind of gross in other ways, but I mean, competition is king, baby. Like, why not fucking, why not throw a little risk into the market? But yeah, maybe that is where things could go.
That would be an upset. It would be fun to see, but
Oh yeah.
I don't know. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, doesn't really concern me. I only enter the AAA space when something interests me, or like the big mainstream
exactly.
space. So it's weird to say that I only have skin in the game when I want to. I can pull it out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, and I mean, as we keep saying all the way along, there are so many games out there. I think it's just maybe more of the thing of like, I only really know about indie games that are. I mean, I only know about fucking games that are like Wario. That's my that's my expertise, unfortunately. But
meanwhile, I just I meander between whatever looks interesting to me, and not even I'm quite sure what causes that at this point.
No, and with the Time Splitters stuff, I only know about like there was Time Splitters Rewind, and that's still kind of in development at the moment. But I just love the idea that maybe somebody is out there making a Time Splitters inspired game. I mean, it'll be an interesting thing because it feels like that is a game that comes out of a developer who makes GoldenEye, makes Perfect Dark, and can turn around hundreds of character models. And like it feels like a game that is made by a developer with experience versus can you really like Quake is something that's easier to recapture because that is such a scrappy development and that can kind of be recreated in an indie space, but can you really do the same for something like Time Splitters? And I don't know, but I would be really interested to see somebody try,
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe not money in the ground, but that is at least something that would have a cult following, is if like an indie studio is like, you make several hundred models, you make a very pliable, modular kind of game, you make a bunch of settings, a bunch of guns, and you put all that together. And I'm not saying that like it's actually easy, that's like a very quick and short way of putting it, but that with solid shooter mechanics and the sort of charming thing is like, why is there no at least knockoff Time Splitters carrying that torch?
I was thinking of that in regards to who was it that we were talking to the other day, and they told us that Apex Legend now has like arenas, like old-fashioned style.
Oh yeah, I think we were talking to Above Up about that.
Yeah, and it's like
and deathmatch mode and all of that stuff.
If Fortnite had deathmatch mode, that would get pretty close to Time Splitters in a weird way. But
yeah, not quite in like it has eclectic settings in that. I don't know. It's tricky. It's just, where does this go? Why is there no true spiritual successor to this idea? Because it doesn't even have to be super graphically impressive. It just has to look decent and have a kind of, charming art style, which, again, not easy. I'm just saying what it's like. It's all simple, but I think I just want it. It would just be nice if it existed, and it's a bizarre thing that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it is a weird. It feels like a hole in in just time and space that something could fill that up, and it is weird that is there a second side style conspiracy out there suppressing a Time Splitters like game?
This game can't come out.
They tried making Time Splitters 4 and they were all replaced, and Homefront the Revolution came out, but they hid a secret message in the game, which is just Time Splitters 2.
Imagine if fucking Homefront the Revolution ended and you get to the end of the credits and like Time Splitters 1 and 2, it just said Time Splitters will return.
Yeah, but it's the end of Homefront the Revolution just says Time Splitters will return. Like, wait, what?
Hang on a second.
What was the game that they played on the Super Best Friends where it was called like Dong Dong Never Die?
And Dong Dong Never Die.
And then the review at the end was that they were making Streets of Rage 4, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, they should put that at the end of the next Naughty Dog game. It just says Time Splitters will return. It's like, what?
Wait, hang on.
Yeah, that's at the end of the VR version of Before Your Eyes for PSVR 2. It just says Time Splitters will return.
Fucking the ending credits of The Last of Us 2. Time Splitters will return. But not Joel. Fuck him.
Cortez comes out of the portal and says, Ellie, we need to fix time. They got the crystals again.
Can I go back and save Joel?
No.
Who's Joel? Come on, time to split.
It's time to split.
And she just does the face so she doesn't get it.
But by the end of the game, she's doing the motion as well.
Time to split Joel's head open.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, folks, once again, I've been James Hot Cider. You can follow me on Twitter at Hot Cider, HOTCYDER. You can also support the podcast over on patreon.com. And for now, we will wrap things up there. So, once again, thank you very much, Snake. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, keep splitting.
Split. Ah!
Ow! Ouch! Ellie, why did you do that?
Ellie, calm down. This is not a note to end on. This is not a fucking note to...
The Bullet Time podcast is made possible by Eric Hamilton Schneider, Valerie B, VG, and the Hot Cider support tier. If you'd like to help with the production of episodes and gain access to extra content, consider supporting over at patreon.com/hot cider. That's HOTCYDER. A special thanks to Max Coburn for the Bullet Time theme tune.